Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Mariandrea, and I wasn't planning to record a video, but it is Thursday, and I love poetry, and why not sit here with a new poetry collection that I acquired at the Texas Book Festival. And I think I'm going to do something different. So this is a brand new collection to me. I just brought it in the last week or so, and I'm just going to sit here and read through it and react to it and maybe do read a couple of poems aloud. So if you have a cup of tea, I'm almost done with mine, but I'm drinking a decaf Earl Grey tea. Um, and I'm just gonna sit here and do some reading and just talk to you about how I'm finding this book. So a little bit about it. I think I've talked about a little of my finding this book at the Texas Book Festival. It struck me because it looks to me on the surface like it's um, addressing climate and the environment, and those are important things to me. So, Sophia Sinclair blurbed this as, "What a joy to see a poet write so deliciously toward longing, yearning, and ultimately her own incendiary self." This is Sophia Sinclair, author of How to Save Babylon. It's written by Tiana Clark. The title is Scorched Earth. And the back of this says, this is published by Simon & Schuster, and Tiana Clark is the author of the poetry collections I Can't Talk About the Trees Without the Blood and Equilibrium. Clark's honors include a Pushcart Prize, Kate Tufts Discovery Award, and fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Bread Loaf Writers Conference. She is the Grace Hazard Conkling Writer in Residence at Smith College. And it says Scorched Earth is a survey of what it is on the other side of survival. This collection moves between ruins and radical love, fragility and tenderness in the wake of divorce, transform and expand into virtuosic stanzas full of ache and sweetness. These poems are steeped in rebellious abundance and transgressive joy, reveling in maximalism and intertextuality, from an ekphrastic poem on Carol Walker to a standout series on the first Black bachelorette. Clark's stanzas shift between reverence and irreverence, holding institutional and historical hurts alongside sensuality and queer Black bliss. The dedication for this collection is for my single mother who taught me first how to survive the ruins. And the opening quote, I've always liked to pay attention to the opening quotes in poetry collections particularly, is by Aracelis Kirmay, and it says, "I've been remembering the story of Salt, Lot's wife, but you tell me something the story never did. Look back at the burning city, still live." The prologue has a quote by Rainer Maria Rilke, and it is, "Then I know that there is room in me for a second huge and timeless life." And I think it's a beautiful quote. I hadn't heard that one. Okay, I really like this first one. It's called Proof. I once made a diorama from a shoebox for a man I loved. I was never a crafty person, but found tiny items at an art store and did my best to display the beginning bud of our little love. A scene recreating our first kiss in his basement apartment, origin story of an 8-year marriage. In the dollhouse section, I bought a small ceiling fan, recreated his black leather couch, even found minuscule soda cans for the cardboard counters that I cut and glued. People get weird about divorce, think it's contagious, think it dirty. I don't need to make it holy, but it purifies, it's clear. Sometimes the science is simple. Sometimes people love each other but don't need each other anymore, though I think the tenderness can stay. And if you want it to, I forgive and keep forgiving, mostly myself. People still ask, what happened? I know you want a reason, a caution to avoid, but life rarely tumbles out a cheat sheet. Sometimes. Nobody is the monster. I keep seeing him for the first time at the restaurant off the West End where we met and worked and giggled at the micros. I keep seeing his crooked smile and open server book fanned with cash. Before we would discover and enter another world and come back barreling into this one. Astronauts for the better and for the worse, but still spectacular as we burned back inside this atmosphere to live. Separate lives inside other shadow boxes we cannot see. I remember I said, I hate you, once when we were driving back to Nashville, our last long distance. I didn't mean it. I said it to hurt him, and it did. I regret that I was capable of causing pain. I think it's important to implicate the self. The knife shouldn't exist. The knife shouldn't exit the cake clean. There is still some residue, some proof of puncture, some scars you grace to remember the risk. I really like that metaphor. The knife shouldn't exit the cake clean. And that was the prologue poem. The chapters here, there's 4 chapters. So chapter 1 is There's Still Some Residue, and it contains 7 poems. And then chapter 2 is Some Proof of Puncture, and this one has 6 poems. And then chapter 3 is titled Some Scars You Graze, and it has 7 poems. And chapter 4, the last chapter, is To Remember the Risk. And this is a bit longer, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 poems, and then an epilogue. So we definitely start with the divorce. There's this poem in here, I just have to say this. There's this poem in here that reminds me of the Alberto Rios' poem, The Smallest Muscle in the Human Body. This one is titled The Hardest Part of the Human Body. I'm going to read this because I think it's very raw and vulnerable. The hardest part of the human body. I want to love my teeth, their crooked city skyline and lemon-stained swagger. Who wants to have a perfect smile? I do. I don't. I need to stay humble, on my knees, begging for some lover to notice one unique feature about my face, the asymmetry, perhaps. I lick my lips at the world. I know I shouldn't say I'm ugly, But what if I just whispered it to myself every now and then? I'm ugly, I'm ugly. What if I say it when I pass a man who looks away from me, a man who might look like my father, but I've never seen my father? And what if I say it before I eat the simple prayer, I'm ugly? Say it instead of hello. Say it until I become each inscrutable flaw, make a home for my pain with repetition. I say, touch me where I'm ugly. Put your hands inside my mouth, inside my wet teeth. Touch my crowns packed with porcelain. Slide your fingers around each uneven tooth. Touch my body in the not perfect places. Tell me where I'm ugly. Say my new name. Tell me and touch me. And touch and touch. It doesn't hurt. I take the word the way I take a torso, sometimes a little bit, sometimes all at once. Isn't it strange to be crammed with what can and cannot own you? Pleasure toggles there like a whistle of tired skin and juice. But God told me I was ugly once, and I believed and stared at my hands, wishing they were mirrors. I want to touch you like a mirror touches everywhere at once. A mirror can be a god, creating every shade and shape of hydrangea, frothy ocean at dawn, open-throated pinkbird, slate and amethyst, and then my mother's keys opening the door so little poet me can fall asleep again, no longer afraid of what the dark reanimates. I flash my teeth like a beast. I want to end this like you and a dying gazelle penned inside my own howling. Oh, Tiana, I want to love you there. This poem about the hardest part of the human body also resonated with me because it feels like it's bringing up what I've been thinking about as I've been reading the Cider House Rules. So there's a group of us on BookTube who are reading the Cider House Rules, and the discussion is going on in Voxer. I'm almost done, but I haven't joined the discussion. I've just been reading through it. But there's a character in the Cider House Rules. Her name is Melanie, and for some reason this poem really struck me. I thought of Melanie. Just that vulnerability that a character can carry that reflects the vulnerability that we all carry. So that was interesting. There's this poem here titled The First Black Bachelorette, and it's a pretty long one, but it looks like it's a fun one because there's a lot of references, like cultural references, and I really like it when there's like beats and music and pop culture in a poem. And there's this one poem here that sounds really, really cool. It's titled Scattered, Covered, and Smothered, a Southern Gothic Sonnet. After and for Flannery O'Connor. I love Flannery O'Connor. I'm gonna read it. It's kind of an interesting structure. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a big square, and there's like 2 to 3 words. Some of it some of them are like prepositional phrases or like just very short phrases. It says, Scattered, covered, and smothered, a Southern Gothic sonnet, after and for Flannery O'Connor. I am pissing in a bathroom with pictures of Pekingese, little Poe blacks with little squiggles for hair, squirming in a line for the outhouse. This pic is supposed to be funny to someone because the South is absurd, near tragicomic. All I knew how to write was my violence. I didn't know it was possible to transcend it, my soft slave breaker. Can you laugh during a moment of grace? I am starting to lean into the bleak. Turn as the car rolls into a ditch. There's always a black hearse, a dark forest at the fringe with cocola. There is always some hell-bent misfit, drenched with dialect. I am not the racist grandmother, but I might be the blood-splattered cat, rubbing glands against the shins of my new owner, spraying my niggerish scent, asking myself, what is a good man? Why your daddy so hard to find? Why you're one of my babies, she said. She ain't too proud to beg, but anyone can be redeemed by a bullet. I wipe myself and flush the toilet. There's a poem about gentrification, and it sounds like it's really good. I think it has some rhythm to it. This is really cool. I'm not going to read it because it's a bit long, but there's a poem in here titled titled "Broken Ode for the Epigraph," and it's got a subheading by Erica L. Sanchez. So Erica L. Sanchez is an author that I really like, and I'm really curious to read it. I see not only is there a reference to Erica L. Sanchez's work, but there's also a reference to Ross Gay. Hmm. So I expected, I was just perusing it. So I was expecting to see some like poems about climate and the environment. That's kind of what I think initially drew me to it, because I think that this book was in a conversation about the environment, but I feel like it's really a collection of poetry that is about deconstruction, like deconstruction and then finding new identity, and maybe also like finding a new path or a new way of reckoning with the past and the past and future self, like who you once were, and the destruction or the deconstruction, and who you're going to become, or what becomes when everything is burnt to the ground, or when you find yourself in the ruins. So yeah, it feels very raw and vulnerable, and I like the imagery. I like, just from what I was quickly glancing at, I like this the difference in like structure. There's some poems that seem to have a lot more rhythm and a lot more like breaks. And there's others that read more prosaic. So I like the diversity of the poetry in here. And I think that there's a lot of social commentary and a lot of pop cultural references that is going to be a lot of fun to explore a little deeper. But I don't want to keep you up just watching me get lost in poetry. But I just thought I'd just let myself explore some of Tiana Clark's work in front of a camera, and hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know. I know poetry isn't everybody's favorite thing, but I sure enjoy it, and appreciate you being here with me on this Thursday night for Thursday night poetry, a little something different. But thanks so much for watching. Hasta la próxima.